morning, Living Hope. My name is Margie, and I have the honor of sharing with you today my experience with my sponsor child, Nelson. I shared this with the first service, but every time I'm up here on a mic at Living Hope, I end up crying, so I brought napkins. So my husband and I both shared the same yearning to sponsor a child through compassion at Living Hope. So when the time came, we walked up and down the halls of the lobby, and I had wondered how we would pick our sponsor child. There was a boy in a collared shirt, the first photo, there was a boy in a collared shirt with jeans who honestly did not look happy in his photo. He looked annoyed, and for some reason that really spoke to me. And so I dragged Ben over, and he agreed that what Nelson was wearing and he was dressed similarly to what Ben would wear, and he had a facial expression that was similar to something I would do. We took our card to the compassion table and set up the account information and took our packet to read about Nelson. In March of last year, we received our first letter from Nelson. From that letter, we learned that he loves chicken and french fries, loves playing soccer, and has a pet rooster, and his favorite color is red. That was around the time that we had realized that we would be able to meet Nelson and spend time with him as we were helping lead the Compass Honduras trip. We spent the next couple of months riding back and forth to each other. We shared that we would be visiting, that we would be getting married later that year, and that we couldn't wait to meet him. When the day to leave to Honduras was getting closer, we knew we had to bring Nelson some sort of gift. I tried to think of all the things we could bring him and landed on the idea of clothes. Ben was not completely on board with the thought of bringing Nelson clothes. He wanted to bring him toys and candy and things most kids would like right off the bat. I was pretty adamant in getting him clothes, so Ben gave in, and we went to shop for a nice shirt, a shirt he could play in, and basketball shorts. We arrived in Honduras and traveled around an hour to the city where Nelson lived. That following day was a Sunday, and I'd hoped to meet Nelson and his family at church, but we didn't see him. The first day of our VBS camp arrived, and it was crazy. We were all running around, trying to make things work, trying to have everything set up for the kids. Ben was so busy moving things around that he didn't notice when Nelson ran by him to say hi. I was in the main room setting up decorations when someone, I'm pretty sure it was Sue, came in and said, "Margie, Nelson's here." I remember looking over and seeing Nelson, and my first thought was, oh my gosh, he's so tall. He was taller than he was in, can you go back to the first one? Sorry. Okay, so the first photo and the third photo, he looks way taller, so I was so nervous that the clothes wouldn't fit him. I can't put into words how that first hug with Nelson felt, to be writing to each other and learning more about him, and for him to come looking for us was a moment I want to cherish forever. He was shy at first, but as the VBS camp went on, all the leaders and staff can tell you he has a very Ben-like personality. We thought from the photo and the first encounter that he was shy, and he was not. He was running around with his friends and screaming. He was talking your head off, and he loved attention. The day where we would be visiting our sponsor child's home came, and we split into groups. Other groups had to walk 30 minutes to visit their sponsor child and had to take trucks to visit them, but Nelson's house was less than a mile away, so we walked. We arrived at his house, and his mother came out to greet us. We were allowed to take a tour of the house and take photos. We learned that Nelson's family received water every 8 days in a large container. I remember that I knew that Nelson's family had 7 people total, and the container that they all shared wasn't that big. Pastor Moon later told us that Nelson's house is one of the more fortunate houses from the sponsored children. It was time to give him a present, and I was getting nervous. On a previous day, we had picked up a bag of candy while buying our supplies for VBS, since I had asked everyone what they brought for their sponsored child. And they all either said toys or gifts. I was starting to really doubt that Nelson would really like our gift. Sure enough, Nelson was only interested in the candy bag. He took it and ran off while we spoke with his mom about challenges that she faced, and we were able to ask questions to get to know Nelson and his family more. When it was time to leave, Ben closed in prayer, and I just started ugly crying. I don't know exactly why I was crying so much, but my heart was so torn for Nelson as health and money was constantly on his mother's mind. I gave his mom the biggest hug I could before we left his house. The next day at VBS, it was hectic. It was always hectic at VBS in Honduras, but that was the new normal. I felt a tap on my side, and Nelson was there, and right when I looked at him, he started talking in very fast Spanish. I was so confused. He kept pointing at his body, and I stared at him for a while because I didn't understand what he was saying. He was trying to tell me that he was wearing the clothes that Ben and I had bought him. The moment I saw that he was wearing our gifts, I was so incredibly happy. He didn't try to tell me just once. He told me every time he saw me during that VBS that he was wearing what we bought him. He was so proud to show me, and it took me everything in me to not start crying right then and there. Pastor Steve and Clyde didn't know this when they asked me to speak today, but today's actually Nelson's 6th birthday. He was born on January 27, 2013, and even though we cannot be with him physically on his birthday, we are comforted knowing that our donations to his family and the birthday gift we sent him through compassion will be there in our place, and that he will know we are thinking of him. We have only known him for 1 year, and we are already so in love with him. We loved him from his first letter to us, his first hug with us, his first conversation with us. Sponsoring him was a life-changing experience, not just for him, but for us. I hope you're able to experience the same things we did with Nelson. And if you have even an inkling of wanting to sponsor in your heart, I really urge you to do it. Thank you.